This is Mirabella's Kitchen, and today I'm making poutine. If you'd like to cook with me, please check the description below for a list of the ingredients and a shout out to my patrons. I start by taking russet potatoes. I'm using about 2 to 3 for this recipe. I clean them very well and I cut them using my mandolin into matchsticks. This can also be done by hand with a knife. And they all come out having a pretty uniform shape. I do leave the skins on. I take a bowl of water. I place the cut potatoes into the water. This is to help get some of the starch off. It helps make the fries crispier when cooked in oil. I then transfer those potatoes into a clean bowl of water and let them soak for at minimum an hour. I have some vegetable oil, 2 pans of water, and also a pan that I'm going to use for gravy on the stovetop. I'm taking the potatoes and I'm drying them very well on a sheet tray because oil and water do not mix well. So I'm bringing about 1.5 cups of water up to a boil, as well as 2.5 cups. The 1.5 cup will be chicken broth and the 2.5 cup will be beef broth. Now I'm gonna make a roux to start my gravy. I take 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter, let it melt. And then I add in 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Let that start to thicken. It's gonna be a blonde roux. I then slowly add in the chicken broth and then I add in the beef broth. I stir that together well. I'm going to add in overall about 1 to 2 tablespoons of gravy master. I start with a little bit in the beginning. I bring this up to a boil. And I add in some cornstarch mixed with water. So a cornstarch slurry. I'm using 2 tablespoons of water to 3 tablespoons of cornstarch and adding a little bit at a time. I don't use all of it. And now I start tasting the gravy. That's the best way to get a good gravy, is really to taste it in between. I add a little bit of coarse kosher salt, a little bit of freshly ground black pepper, and then I add a little bit more of cornstarch. It's really a work of love making a gravy. I add in a little more gravy master, get a nice deep rich color. And once I'm satisfied with the consistency and the taste, I put it off to the side. I have vegetable oil heating up. I'm heating it to 300 degrees Fahrenheit to start, and I'm going to add in the fries in batches to blanch them for 7 to 8 minutes. I used this fryer basket, was not a huge fan. I had to hold it the whole time, and then when I flipped out the fries, it almost flipped onto my hand, and that's hot, it's been in oil. So I put the blanched fries, round 1, onto a cooling rack. Make sure they're not overlapping too much. I then heat up the oil to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and then add the fries back in to crisp them up. And I recommend really taking your time at this point. I felt like my fries weren't very crispy, but they were very good, but not very crispy, so definitely longer than 1 to 2 minutes. I remove them with a spider and I put them into a bowl with some paper towels to get excess oil, put some salt, and then I'm going to put 3 ladlefuls of the gravy onto the fries. I'm gonna mix that together so the fries are all nice and coated, and add in some cheese curds, which I was able to find at Target, because they're not so easy to find everywhere. I then mix those together to get the cheese curds covered in the gravy so they start to soften. I add some more gravy on top, a few more cheese curds, and I top with some freshly ground black pepper. And that's my poutine. Thanks so much for joining me today. I make new videos on cooking every Thursday. Please support me on Patreon and on Facebook at Mirabella's Kitchen.